I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Schulte.
Here.
Mr. Vanderhoof.
Here.
Mr. Moore. Here. Mr. Elf.
Here.
Any changes to the agenda?
I don't have any.
I'll make that motion. Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Any corrections to the November 19th, 2024 minutes?
Make a motion to accept them. Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. December schedule.
Well, the 10th, and I don't know what you're gonna do about Christmas week, because we're closed on the 24th, so I don't know if you want to do it the 23rd, or when do you want to do it?
23rd works for me.
Yeah, okay.
It may, we haven't finalized travel plans, so I don't know if we'd be gone long weekend there, but that may just be the way it is.
Make a motion for the 10th and the 23rd. Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Review how use of ordinance and set a public hearing date.
Morning.
Morning.
And I emailed everybody the draft version that Nolan created. The Board of Health agreed to adopt this, but changing the word county sanitarian to environmental health specialist. And I just wanted to get the board's ideas on, you know, is there things in here that you like, dislike? Just kind of the thoughts. And this basically arose because the state of Iowa has nuisance laws, but anything that I was receiving complaints about, our hands were tied, or my hands were tied, because within the state of Iowa's, everyone would say in city limits or any city. So there was nothing actually in a county level that we have to be able to enforce anything.
And you will be the police for this, or?
Yeah, I talked to Kevin about this also, because I don't want this ordinance to be used as policing, you know, a property that somebody's got, you know, they don't like the way it looks, or, you know, it's too cluttered, anything like that. This is geared towards health and safety only. So if your neighbor has 3 junk vehicles, if it's not a health and safety issue, it's not anything that, you know, this ordinance would cover. The issue arose on a property that's got weeds that are taller than the house, and they've got mice that are walking to the neighbors. You know, they're going across that property, going to neighbors and eating the wiring out of their buildings. And it's, you know, we have an issue with the rodents, and then it's also a fire risk because you cannot see the house.
I don't think the intent of the Board of Health or this is to go out there and be actively looking or spending time
No, not at all.
trying to enforce this. It'll primarily be more complaint driven.
Correct. And
It
complaints
does
only
allow-
received by a complainant that's willing to state their name. If it's an anonymous complaint, if you're not gonna stand up in court to say anything, then this won't really help either.
You said the Board of Health was okay with it.
The Board of Health is okay with it, as long as it is geared towards the health and safety aspect and not an eyesore complaint.
health and safety of people or animals and people, or where does that line?
I think this is mostly just geared towards people. We kind of adopted this off of what Dickinson County has, and that's the way that Dickinson County had explained it to me, was just primarily people.
The only thing I'm struggling with is we have an instance where an out-of-state person is threatened, negligence and stuff, and I don't know, just because he doesn't like the way it looks. Can they come to you, or how does that work, or how does,
That'd be a question for Nolan, and Nolan is available for a speaker phone call if we need to.
So how's that work with composting dead animals?
That one I'm not quite certain of. There's some things in this that I question on, when it comes to foul smells and things like that, because one person's definition of foul smell is going to be different than another's. But it's in there. We can always change what's in here. But I do believe on the dead animals, it does talk about the rendering, correct?
Yeah, rendering or burying covered with lime at least 4 feet of ground. And I don't think that, living as close as I do to the chicken barns, I don't know that that was the process that was used for that last time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's kind of dictated by the USDA with that stuff, so I didn't know how that's supposed to work. Because there's some guys that compost sheep in manure piles and the whatnot, because rendering trucks won't pick them up.
Right.
pigs, cattle, whatever.
Well, if there would be a complaint, then, yeah, there would have to be an investigation and then adhere to this.
Because like abandoned acreages and stuff that are all homes for raccoons and everything else under the sun, how does that work for that?
So I would put it on if there was a complaint that the animals were coming from a neighboring acreage, it would have to be investigated and proven that that's where these animals are coming from. It's not going to be the easiest thing to pinpoint, but that's why I say if somebody's coming forward to say, this is where these animals are coming from, I've seen them, we've taken pictures, so on and so forth, we can proceed.
From what I read, I wouldn't want to be the one to enforce this.
I'm not excited, but it's difficult where, the complaint that I got, there's nothing we can do.
Yeah.
Our hands are completely tied. If it was in city limits, there are all kinds of options, even Iowa's law for nuisance. But it just says in city. If they had said overall, we would just follow Iowa's law.
Any condition conducive to the breeding and harborage of flies, rats, or other vermin.
So Iowa says, they talk about the dense growth for vegetation, which is a breeding ground for, your vermin. I've had also complaints about people with excessive amounts of tires, breeding grounds for mosquitoes. There is a law on that though, and that's superseded by the field office level for the DNR. And I did contact them, but so far there's been nothing done about that as well. But this would also help facilitate, a two-party that could say, hey, we need to get this cleaned up because it's a health hazard.
I think it's pretty vague, to be honest with you. I think anything coming down the pike could be, I got tires for silage piles. What are you gonna do? You're gonna make me burn all my tires for silage piles. I compost. You're gonna make me quit composting. That's what the big hog companies want you to do. They don't want rendering trucks on the yard and dragging disease all over the place. And I just think it's way too vague, and I don't like it. Like you said, the chicken man, what was the requirement there?
Well, there's complaints about flies from that.
No.
All they do is come by and give you a fly stick. They don't do anything to control the flies within a mile of that place, and
Right.
they get pretty bad. I don't think just handing out fly sticks really fixes the problem with that, but
And they actually, I think, go way more than a mile because it's,
oh, they do.
yeah.
But the people that are within that mile are the ones that
Right.
are the unhappiest.
And we can continue looking and seeing if other counties have more, specific and not so vague interpretations of what they are and are not going to enforce. This was just kind of what we thought would work. Giving a broad sweep, because not every instance or complaint is going to be the same.
It would be nice to see what else is out there.
I can do some looking into that. I know some are I looked at a few, and some are very, very specific. If you haven't had a vehicle tagged in the past year, you have to get rid of it. Some of them go down, that's not what I want at all. So, yeah, and that's why I think we thought if we kept it vague, it would be per discretion type, realistic. Yeah.
At least if we'd see we could pick an option.
Yep. And I can do that.
Okay.
Do a little bit more looking and we'll keep going.
Sounds good.
Any other questions, comments, or concerns? I guess we'll wait for some more comparisons.
Yep. I'll do some searching and we'll go from there.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Discuss ambulance service collection.
We had
Sandy.
that public hearing at 9.
Oh, I guess I'm not you yet.
We have a public hearing at 9, so I would probably better do that. It won't
You
take
can
as
still
long.
sit there.
Yeah, it won't take long.
Nobody's coming in. but we'll open the
You
public
want me to
hearing.
just come back or?
No, no, you're fine.
Just,
For the
okay.
fiscal year
alright.
24,
The last
25 budget amendment to
95
approve
minutes.
resolution 14.
So,
Just a minute,
Hold on
Sandy.
Hold on.
sorry.
So this is to cover juvenile costs?
It is.
Holy buckets.
I think he's gonna be there for a few months. And the judge on hand probably won't let him go until the trial, so
Is this gonna cover?
I
Or
hope
are you
so.
gonna have to file another amendment?
I don't know,
How far do you think this gets you through?
4 months. We have a bill in there this time for $4,600 and I have enough money in there to cover that. So you have like 3,000 left, so last month was 5,100, so this month was 46, so he's supposed to be going to trial, I don't know, December, January if it doesn't get moved back.
Any comments from the public? Written or otherwise?
I have received no comments.
Any comments from the board? We go to close the public hearing. And I'd like to make a motion on approving resolution 14.
I'll make that motion for resolution number 14.
I'll support.
Mr. Helmers. Mr. Schulte.
Aye.
Mr. Moore.
Aye.
Mr. Van.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, Sandy, you're up.
Okay, so, I'm coming to the board to, I looked in, since we came up with a kind of a debt, collection type, we're writing off some debt, but I'd like to use a credit collection bureau out of Sioux Falls. I met with them and then a couple of phone conversations, and then Mike has sat in with me and we talked to him. Basically, they had told Mike and I that they collect, their money is only for when they collect a debt for us, and I think it said 27%. Doesn't that sound right, Mike?
Yeah.
Right now, probably in January, we'll be writing off close to another $43,000 worth of bad debt. And we've already wrote off quite a bit of it once we put that policy in place.
So 43,000?
Yes. So we're really just only keeping 5 years on our account or our books. A lot of it is our self-pay. They said that they would work, obviously if they don't have a forwarding address, no social security number, no driver's license, they can do, what did they say? It's some sort of, they have means to track people down, a lot better than what I do. I can write letters, but if I don't have a forwarding address or I have no idea where, we get more mail back that's
So say that,
undeliverable.
that pile was about like that of letters that were returned.
Obviously if, they are here in our county, they have a job, we can do a debt collection letter, ask them to start, maybe start setting up a payment plan or of some sort. But these other ones that I have no idea where they were traveling down Highway 60 and I have no idea how to get to them. We're gonna have to get, the bigger dogs out there to locate them. If we can just get some of that of our money back. Some of our money. So I guess I'm just kind of looking for your thoughts, what you guys think we should do with some of it. We can't just keep.
$43,000 is a lot of money.
Yeah.
At first, I didn't like the idea, but when I saw how many return bills and stuff. I think it's probably something to do.
Our billing company is starting to put together their a credit card. So she said it would take a couple of months to get it going, but it would be, because I was looking at doing that, trying to set something up at our ambulance garage or whatever. But the billing company actually is doing something so they can do it for all of their customers. So I think that would be helpful too. If they have they are able to maybe put something on their debit card or their credit card, maybe we'll get some money, probably not all of it.
Based on their numbers here, we'd get about 10,000 of that 43,000.
Yeah,
So if it gets slid into collections sooner than what we've been doing, would be my concern, is that we're just taking in less than we had been. But what's your process for determining when it's gonna go to this collection or?
well, I feel like right now, anything that's in 2023, that they have any outstanding balances 2020, from 2020 to 23, I mean, they should go to collection. In 2024, I think anything over 6 months old, I think I should be writing them a letter, giving them, 90 days or whatever to either call me or get some payment plan set up. If not, then we can send those to collection. Now, once they go to collection and they get kicked back, then we have done our due diligence, so then we can take those people and go to the tax, Iowa tax, so then we can take their income tax then.
Did they talk at all about estates or anything like that? How does that work? Estates sometimes don't close for,
Usually 6 months.
I just was curious if
They really didn't talk about
there's any
estates.
recourse there, or estates.
For the, the
We get a lot of them that, have no,
and that PCC, they will track that down if they have any money in their estates or whatever. But I'm not for sure what to do.
Well, if the estate doesn't have anything, you're not
It's
gonna
just
get anything.
easier when we had,
Yeah.
And something.
yeah.
I think collecting something's better than getting nothing and just writing it all off.
So then we'd have to change the timetable, because I think estates, they have like 6 months to close them, is when they usually get closed. So if it's an estate deal, something should be turned in right away.
right. When I first started, I think Judy and Ed used where they brought them into small claims court, and that's a cause for us too, and then, then you're pretty much putting a lien on their home, or isn't that pretty much how small claims works? Yeah,
Yeah, I
we
believe
kind of
so.
got away from that because we could use that to Iowa tax law. And so we kind of got away from, sending people into the small claims court.
What was your concern, Jason?
If the current efforts aren't continued as long or as hard as they are, and it just gets dropped to these guys sooner, we're gonna get less than what we've been getting out of our current practice, is my concern. And so I would like to know that we're gonna have a good policy in place, that we don't see that happen too soon.
How long does it need to be past due before you send it to collections?
How long is what?
How long does it need to be past due before you send it to collections?
We have never done that, but they had told me they would work it for over a year and then they would kick it back to us. Does that sound?
Sounds right.
But
So
I
like
think
at
we
the end
should
of
be sending them to collections sooner than waiting a year or
So
whatever.
like after 90 days, if you don't
I
collect,
would.
send it to collections.
It's the deal, if there's a death involved, it should be turned in quicker. Because then it can go against the estate.
Mhm. But
If it's like a husband and wife, then they don't have to open an estate, right?
Still goes through to get everything into his name or her name.
Well, it depends
But
how
if you
they
got
hold
joint
title.
tenancy and everything, it just switches
And they
over.
don't.
You don't have to take it through.
So I always thought you did.
If it's a husband and wife and it's in joint
yeah,
tenancy.
PCCs, they work those claims for over a year too, you know, making phone calls and, you know, they get monthly bills. You know, I mean, and then when they start coming back to me, you know, the mail comes back and says they're unknown or moved and left no forwarding.
But this entity will track those down even once that's happened.
Yeah.
Because I'd
But she
prefer to
said-
see the PCC process fully exhausted and then move to this.
What should be the time frame then that the board would set before it goes to collections?
What are you thinking? Collection is just,
I'd want to see a report of what we get for collections in the first 6 months, what we get maybe each month after that to a year. I mean, it's gonna be hard to pick that out without reviewing some of those numbers as to, if they're taking 27% of it, that starts taking a bite pretty soon if we are seeing payments in that year to year and a quarter that PCC continues doing it. I see it as wise as long as we're minimizing losing current collections to this.
I don't know, I mean, I don't know where to find these people at. I don't know if you can go to some of their businesses or whatever and ask them if they're still employees there.
But those are all a year past already, right?
I don't know if we want to approve using this service once PCC sends it back and review the policy or
Or
the
you
approach
wanna-
further down the
Get
road.
on top of it right away, and, yeah.
When you pick somebody up, do you get social security number, all that kind of stuff or not?
No, we used to for when we would bring a patient in, if they had a social security number, that would be on their face sheet. Or if they had Medicare used to use your social security number as, you know, part of your pay, or your Medicare. But, they changed all that. So if without that sales tax or going that Iowa tax, that's how they do it, is with their social security number. So some of these clients or whatever, your patients or whatever, that do not have a social security number, don't have a driver's license, and obviously must not have a place to live, you know, that's gonna be hell bent to just even get any money from them. And, yeah, I don't know, now, I don't know that collection, if they're able to tap into something that they're able to get somebody's social security number.
Some concern
Because
that people,
that's, that tax base, I mean, that worked really well when we had access to their social security number. because, yeah. But now they feel like we need to do more to get the person, to give them more opportunities to pay their bill before they take their taxes. Would just be better if maybe we had free healthcare, which,
Yeah.
oh, wow, we do.
The sample letter, thankfully I don't get the collection letters, but I would think scan right away. You owe this, send it here. I guess, is there a better process or a way to inform the people or have a local contact that, yeah, we've taken this step and you are to work with them now?
Yeah,
I get that it would be legitimate, but if it came in the mail to me, I'd be like, I'm not sending a check there. Or calling some out-of-state number or.
How does that work, Sandy, if okay, so they get this letter and they throw it away, then can they attach something to their paychecks, or how does?
Well, if you don't dispute this, you're accepting the debt. So then it goes right away to where they start working to get that
Okay.
money out of you. And I think with everything that you've got that's already been sitting out for a year, you just as well use these guys to clean it up, because you're either gonna get zero or you're gonna get something.
yeah,
So if you just want to start it on what you've already got for this $40,000, you're gonna have to write off, see how that goes, and then, review how you want to handle when to start the process.
Have we
of
written that
setting
40-some thousand off already?
no,
No.
I will be bringing that to you, when we do
Okay.
our budget
Yeah.
for the first of the year. I'll make sure you guys get let you look at them. I don't know, and maybe there's names on there that you guys know who they are, or where they work, or who their employer is.
Just let somebody else do that.
But I think the state said too that, or maybe this collection said that was, if they contacted them, and maybe would be willing to do a negotiation. I think that they had asked us if that was something that we would be interested in too. So, you owed me $1,000, would we negotiate that down to, 65% of that, we would write it off.
I think that was that collecting we were
I was
talking on the
thinking
phone.
that was with the collection too, but I'm not really sure. But this is the same collection service that Lyon County uses for over there. That's where I got this information from.
And on the 43,000, everything's been exhausted
Yeah.
so far.
So far, I mean, from like PCC, I haven't contacted them or anything like that. I mean, there's probably like 3 or 4 pages of them. I mean, we can try, but there's probably some that we don't even have the current address on. So I'm not for sure how you're gonna send them a letter.
Can we turn those 43, whatever that is, that 1,000 over to them right now?
And we could sign a contract for like just a year or two.
Yes, yes, and we'll know within, you know, we should know whether or not they can help us.
A year should be enough time to see if it's gonna be any help us at all.
Yeah, the agreement's only
Or
valid.
just 12 months.
I'd say try and see what you get.
I'd say try it for a year and we'll find out.
Is that a motion?
Yeah.
I'll support that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Of what we have
Yeah.
on account. Aye.
All those
Would you-
opposed?
Aye.
Would you guys like a monthly report on what
Yeah.
they're doing?
Yeah.
Would that, I mean, like when we get together, I can let you know if it's working or
Yeah.
it's frustrating.
And one other update, EMS had a meeting Thursday night and somebody resigned, but I'm not gonna mention Sandy's name.
Resigned or retired?
Well, she was resigning from running the ambulance service effective January 1 of 26, so be about 13 months.
Mhm.
So
So
if
we
you know of
can get
anybody
this-
that's paramedic or anything like that. And we better, when you do your budget too, we better adjust, so if we get somebody hired so you can work together for a while.
Right, right,
So keep that in mind when you do your budget.
yeah, there's a lot to,
What are the odds you get somebody hired?
I sure hope so.
Is there somebody within?
pardon?
No,
Nobody within?
the paramedic within doesn't want it.
We're gonna keep plugging away.
So do you have a contract? Are
Sandy
they
got me
gonna
with
sign this
hospital.
contract? Do you,
Yeah.
what, I mean, just so,
See if we
I'll
can work something
call
out
her
between
and
us.
maybe there'll be an official,
okay,
something
Okay.
official. Cause she had just contacted me too again, to wondering what we were gonna do, and then I told her we'd have this meeting today. And then I'll reach back
Approve the
out.
TIF reports.
okay. I didn't make copies, but this is our annual TIF report that's due December 1st of every year.
Sandy.
Yeah.
Some of these are getting right down there, aren't they?
Yeah, the Senex, the City of Sibley and Secondary Roads, I think that's done this year.
Yeah.
We paid off that 750,000, so now it's just me and Les did. And I'm almost got MBN and Sunrise Retreat almost paid for, so basically it's just tax rebates.
Any of those TIFs, can they be paid off early?
Yeah, that's what we're doing with the MBN one and Sunset Retreat. The 2.8 one. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't remember when that collection thing is. But the MBN and Sunset Retreat, that's just paying back general basic. We already got that 750,000 that we had to borrow for the rest of Tyler Avenue. That was paid for last fiscal year. That's done. So most of the left that we have is the rebates.
Take a motion on those reports.
I'll make that motion.
I'll support.
All those in favor? All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I don't know that we have enough time to do this, considering elected official salary.
Can't believe they let you drive all the way up here.
Well, I had somebody with me dropping off in Storm Lake as well, so.
Oh.
Working on a couple different projects.
Take a motion to suspend our current meeting and go to drainage.
That it really wasn't restricting the flow.
Sucks when you have a great niece that old already.
$10,000 to $15,000 not do that. We get rid of the trees,
She's my niece's daughter-in-law.
the roots will die off, and if there's roots that are in the tile, those will decay and wash out of there, so.
But I'm still yours.
Actually, we had quite the struggle, because we had planned on doing that. We went through multiple different contractors, because not everybody can clear roots out of a 26-inch tile.
Year and a half ago.
And we had to struggle getting them to show up, but it's, in the end, actually, it worked out quite well that they didn't, because I think it would have been, an unnecessary expense. And it took getting all that water and having the tile open to see that it's not really causing a restriction, at least at the time. But getting those trees out there, that should help, from the roots getting any worse than they are currently. So yeah, that's basically done. We've been working on, there was a petition filed in Joint Drainage District 61. That it's a tile, it actually drains some of Terrell. So we've been working on that. We're fairly close actually to having a report ready, and we're thinking, sometimes if you just get a petition and you do the report and you file it, and then you have a formal meeting where you're talking about making a decision that day, and it's the first time some of those people have seen this. It's a lot of information to digest. So we're thinking to have, instead of filing the formal report and having a formal hearing right off, have an informational meeting where we basically have the report almost done, just in draft form basically, and if we can make some modifications then before the final report and then schedule the formal hearing after. So that should be coming, I'll probably be coming back here, maybe even next week we can think about setting a meeting date, maybe in January sometime, off with the landowner.
Well, it's now 10 o'clock.
The host would like you to unmute your microphone. You can press. You are unmuted.
Jordan, we're back in, we're ready, whenever you guys are.
We're ready. Thank you.
All right. Well, morning, everybody. Yeah, so this is regarding joint drainage district number 2 with Dickinson and Osceola counties at Ranch 60. So this is kind of a little bit of a background. A repair request was submitted by a landowner for collapsing tile, but this Ranch 60 tile system, and kind of it's more significant than just like, oh, let's patch up this one tile break. The landowner in the repair request says 18-inch tile has collapsed multiple times, will likely require approximately 1,000 feet of replacement to remedy. So replacing 1,000 feet of 18-inch tile, that's starting to get up there a little bit more in cost. So we kind of took a look at this. We went out and visited the site and visited with the landowner and found 4 different spots where there was tile blowout. One thing about this particular tile is that it's actually fairly close. Some of the blowouts are fairly close to actually really close to the switch by the outlet. So when we start talking about, well, maybe this tile is in kind of failing condition and we can do a repair. You know, we could put back 18 months or whatever's in there. But I think, at least from our perspective, if you're going to spend that much money, maybe now is a good time to at least evaluate whether or not, you know, an improvement would be advisable. But, you know, typically we see with some of these projects, it's going to cost a lot of money to put in a new tile. If you upsize it, and you can get double, triple the capacity oftentimes for, you know, maybe 20% more, just roughly speaking. So it's actually quite, if you're going to put in new tile anyways, it oftentimes can be quite worth the money to upsize. So we've got this letter report that we put together, and really the main purpose today is just, I guess there's several things to talk about, and I think having an informational meeting with the landowners involved just to talk things through and see where we go from here is probably a good next step. So that's really the only actionable item for today, is setting an informational meeting date and time. But we do have this letter report that kind of lays out what we've found so far. And we do see that we talked with a contractor who's repaired this tile before, and he said, it's Rocky Marco, and he said everything that he's seen, the tile's shot. Like where he repaired it, and he'd look up and down the tile with a flashlight, and there's 4 cracks going the whole way. It's not in good shape. But one thing we could consider doing, if we want to get a better idea of how bad the tile is for how far, we could, you know, hire somebody to run a camera up the tile, probably like a crawler type camera that could get a video and we could do a closer inspection of the condition of the tile. But everything else that we've seen so far is that it's in bad shape kind of throughout. And then looking at a repair versus an improvement, we kind of looked at the existing capacities of the tile system, and just like we normally would expect for a tile that was put in about 100 years ago, for what's been kind of the standard for really the last several decades, it's kind of majorly undersized. We'd actually recommend, if you were going to put in something that we consider to be adequate drainage, to be 2 to 3 times the current system capacity. Just would point out, so we've looked at possibility of improvement, but a petition for an improvement hasn't been filed. So that's part of the discussion at an informational meeting too, is that if we would move in the direction of an improvement, one or more landowners would need to actually file an improvement petition. It drains just under 700 acres. The existing tile ranges from 20 to 12 inch. Those are kind of the basics. I guess I'll also say it does have some land in Dickinson and Osceola County. Most of the acres are in Dickinson, but it's straddling the county line. So any questions at this point?
Alan, how much cover does that have over the top of it?
Yeah, that's a good question. So in talking with the landowner and the contractor, they said I heard a couple different things, 2 to 3 feet in some of the shallower places. So not a ton of cover, but really not super shallow. When we shot the outlet in the ditch and then got a couple shots on these blowouts, it looks like we have the old grades, and from the ditch it jumps up pretty quickly and then flattens out. So if we did an improvement project, put in a bigger tile, that was a concern of mine. If we go bigger tile and there's not much cover, we're making matters worse with a larger tile if we can't go any deeper in the ditch. But because it jumps up really quickly, we could just go, from where the ditch starts and not jump up quick and go flat, and then we can gain additional depth that way. Yeah, so there is some cover. It's not excessively shallow from the sounds of it, but it's not super deep either. Any other questions, thoughts?
Well, it's old concrete tile?
I believe so. I'm not 100% sure on that.
I think that's what it said in this report. Okay. So if you replace the concrete with plastic, if it does get shallow, it's not affected as much by freezing and thawing as the concrete or would be, in the future. Is that correct?
So, yeah, one of the advantages and disadvantages of plastic tile is that it has the ability to flake.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's not as strong as concrete tile, but if you have a freeze thaw, that's pretty strong force, and so I think plastic does probably have a better ability to withstand some of the freeze thaw cycles. And those old concrete tile they were butt joints, and so stuff was moving, and then they push against each other, and then they can crack over the years. So yeah, you could that would potentially help.
What did you use for your cost per acre then? Plastic or concrete?
Concrete, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
At $814 per acre, that's roughly 132,000 per quarter.
Right.
Right, corn and beans would sustain that at this point.
Yeah,
That's gonna be up to the
Right.
vote.
Well, and I think that that's one of the discussions is that if this tile's falling apart, I mean, if you can patch it but if it keeps breaking and it's just collapsing, then you gotta do something bigger. And if you're gonna spend, a bunch of money anyways, like if I've got just a rough cost estimate of $460,000 for repair and $560,000 for improvement. So for another $100,000, we're doubling or tripling the capacity of the existing tile. So it depends on how you look at it, and that's part of the discussion with the landowner. Yeah.
Was there a reason you went with concrete instead of plastic?
Well, that's a long conversation, I think, to have I'm not completely opposed to the idea of plastic. I bid it. But there's, like I said, one of the disadvantages is it's not as strong as concrete. And most of almost all of the strength of plastic pipe actually comes from the material that you place around it. So installation becomes highly, highly important more so than reinforced concrete pipe. And if we're not out there, typically with ag drainage projects, we're not doing full-time inspections, so we're not watching them put in every bit of that pipe. And the installation is more important. So then you got to do other things like put rock around the pipe and do video inspection 30 days after it's installed to make sure that it hasn't deflected or smushed down to unacceptable levels. And if it has, which many times you find that it did, then they got to dig it back up and redo it, those spots. And that all ends up, when you get the bids, that's going to increase. Plastic, obviously, material-wise, that pipe is a lot cheaper than reinforced concrete. But some of those other things, and the contractor would have to come back and do that stuff at no cost. They sort of to their bids as well. And with these tiles that drain, hundreds or thousands of acres, and you're expecting this to last 100 years, just reinforced concrete pipe is kind of the preferred alternative. But again, we've bid it both ways, and we could do it here too, and just see, with those requirements for plastic, and you could bid plastic and concrete, see how the prices come in, and decide what's best for this particular project. Mm-hmm. I think if the price difference was quite small, I'd still recommend reinforced concrete pipe.
Yeah.
Bids many times when we've got both options
Right.
to us, so
Right.
I think that would make sense here.
Yeah.
So basically today you just want a motion for an informational meeting.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to schedule an informational meeting to discuss the findings of Jacobs and Westergaard for Joint Drainage District 2, Branch 60.
When are you wanting to have that informational meeting?
Yeah. We need to send letters out, but it's an informational meeting, so we don't need to put any notice in the newspaper or anything like that. So we could have it in December. We start getting into holidays and stuff, less people are around, but,
Rochelle, is there a date that you would rather not go to?
December 25th.
In December? I don't know, what is the
Would you be opposed to going into January?
I wouldn't, that'd be fine.
No,
I mean, I would prefer
we would be-
January.
we'd be
think
okay
for
with
us,
that.
we are having a joint meeting with Joint 3 DNO on January 14th.
Okay.
Did January 7th not work for you guys? Is that why we changed it to the 14th?
Yeah, just a regular meeting, that's not a scheduled.
I mean, would you be okay with January 7th at 9 o'clock?
Then I would have done the other one in the 7th.
We can do the 14th, it's not a
do it on the same day if there already would be a joint meeting.
And where would we have it at?
We can do it the same way we've done it, that we're doing it already via Zoom.
So our landowners would go where? To Dickinson or Osceola, or would they just go to both? Okay.
Yep, I don't think we need to make it complicated for them. I mean, you guys are okay with Zoom.
It's fine with me.
So we'll plan for January 14th, preceding the Joint 3 DNO 9 a.m. meeting. Since this is just an informational meeting, we don't have to have a specific time, but we'll just do it preceding that time. We could say,
Is that meeting, what's that meeting for? Is it,
annexation, and it won't take very long.
okay.
So we can do it tentatively for 9:30, but then we can start it earlier. Well, no, we have to do tentatively 9:30.
Yeah, we could do something like that. I was just thinking how we'd explain that in the letter.
But we probably wouldn't still start it until 9:30, since people probably won't show up until 9:30,
Yeah.
most likely for that district. So do you guys want to put January 14th at 9:30?
Sure, that'll work. And then when they get close, they'll send us an agenda title then, when we get closer.
Yeah, yep, it'll be basically the same thing as what we had today, but it'll just be informational meeting on Joint 2 DNO Branch 60 repair.
Okay. And then he'll send what letters we had to send out to our residents then, and then you send letters to your residents?
I have a letter that's already basically drafted,
Okay,
so we can just use that one as
Okay.
well, since it's just informational and you won't have to
Okay.
put it in the paper.
okay. Sounds good.
Are you wanting to include anything with the paperwork that you've given us in that letter? Or can we just state that repair and or improvement letter is on our website?
It's fairly short. You might consider mailing it.
No, I mean, do you want this included with the letter that we send out, or can we
Right.
say that this is on the website?
I think because this is relatively short, you might mail it to them with the letter.
Okay.
If that's okay.
And then, do you have does he have a list of all the letter, or people we have to send letters to in Osceola County? That's what we're used to. We get a list and we cross-reference
Yep,
that to make sure.
I'll send an email
Okay.
later today with the list.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so you're including that it'll be held on January 14th at 9:30 a.m.?
Yes.
Is there so many days that has to be sent out ahead of time? Since it's just an informational meeting, or is it 20 days, or is it less than that, or doesn't it matter?
Right, there's no legal requirements on these, since it's an informational meeting.
Okay,
No, we can't, we're not gonna be taking any formal action at the meeting, so those notice requirements don't apply. So, yeah, those timelines don't apply either.
okay.
Motion was made by Wernerson.
Ken has moved. I'll second. Jeff is second to have it's informational, informational meeting about Joint 2 DNO Branch 60. Any discussion on that?
Yeah, in other districts, we've had this same consideration given, what repair costs would be and what an improvement would be. Generally, it's not just the installation work that's required, then it seems to bring in wetland determination process, and then annexation and reclassification is worth considering with those. Are those figures that you will provide at that informational meeting rather than just the jump from 460 to 560?
Yeah, we can give more detailed numbers, and I think it's my understanding that joint 2 is not, it's just under one schedule. Is that correct, Jordan? Yeah, so that's another topic of conversation at that meeting, because actually if you did an improvement, the decision makers are the whole district, not necessarily just the people involved in branch 60 the way it sits today, which doesn't make sense, but you have to use the schedule that exists currently on file, so that for remonstrance stuff and things like that. But in any case, to answer your question, yes, I can have more specific cost estimate numbers and discussion of reclassification and annexation.
Thank you.
Yep.
And do you know where the wetlands are? I noticed you had that in your report.
Yeah, I did mention that if we do an improvement on the wetlands, if an improvement petition is filed, we would then send out letters to the landowners asking them to provide wetland determinations, just to make sure, the drainage district isn't going to get in trouble if we do an improvement, but the landowners who make up the drainage district, if they've got farm wetlands and we do an improvement, that could get them in trouble with the farm program. So we wouldn't want to inadvertently do that. So we'd send out letters.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. We've had discussion. Time to vote. Kim?
Aye.
Jeff? Aye. Steve? Aye. And Bill is aye.
And then if you guys want a motion on your side, Rochelle?
Okay,
Make a motion for that informational hearing.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yep. Happy Thanksgiving.
all right, we'll talk to you later then, thank you. You guys have anything else?
Happy
Have a
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving, hope you.
All right, take
You
care.
too.
Bye.
Bye.
Take a motion to adjourn.
Make that motion. I'll support it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. A motion to reopen our regular meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Consider elected official salaries.
I would like to say with Rochelle's office, I would like to see her get a stipend because all the crap she's going through. Because it's getting kind of deep in there.
She's got extra help.
What?
Didn't she have extra help?
It all falls on her shoulders. Are we going for the percentages now too, or what?
Need to identify a process to follow the code.
Because you said you needed numbers by the end of the year for budgets.
Well, I need them in January before they submit their budgets to me.
You just need to identify the process that they're gonna do it with.
Yeah, so that we can start working on that.
down with each one, or?
I believe that was Jason's recommendation from last time. Or am I wrong?
It's an idea submitted. Committee was also discussed. I indicated that, I haven't talked to the elected officials, but you indicated some of them didn't like the idea of an open meeting and coming and sitting before the board. I don't know if we consider receiving a letter from each office, or
Wasn't the comp board open to the public when they had that discussion? So then what would be the difference?
they had representatives that made up the comp board. I don't know.
I think the letter deal would be a good way to do it.
So send in a letter with the recommendation, and then review the recommendations and go from there. Sounds like a workable process. I don't know if anybody else has anything to add to that, or
That'll work.
somebody want to make a motion to adopt that process?
I didn't know what that stated. A letter
That you're just gonna get a letter recommending.
Recommendation.
from each office?
Yep, each elected official.
Yeah, each elected. I'll make that motion.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Claims.
I guess I should have asked, when do you want those letters submitted by or to?
When do you think they should be submitted by?
I suppose maybe,
14?
yeah.
At our next meeting.
That's a little too soon, but
The 10th?
I think we could just request each department head or each elected official for their office
That's
to,
it. Go ahead, sorry. I didn't look at the calendar.
if they want to meet with us, that's fine too. We can have it on each agenda, but just be available
Yeah.
at a meeting or submit a letter
Yeah.
by December 23rd when we scheduled our meeting.
Or do we have to change that motion?
No. You identified a process. I don't know, did you wanna,
But Jason brought in that if they want to appear in person.
no, do you wanna change?
Well, if they present their letter in, I mean, couldn't they have a letter and
They can either read
come to
it,
our meeting and?
read it or drop it off, I guess are your options.
I don't know, we don't want to do it on the 14th, that's a Saturday.
I don't think you have to do anything different with them.
just add by
Utilize
December
by the
23rd there.
Meeting that we'd like to be in receipt of it.
Yeah, 'cause I think that probably, it's gonna take some time to get some information and to let everybody know, so.
Is it a motion? Did you make a motion?
For
I think
You made it, he
You made it.
seconded it.
Just
Sorry, yeah.
supported it.
clarity on that action.
So then claims, and we're good to go.
Just got one question on claims.
Yeah, those are some back bills that we finally got figured out what was going on there.
You mean Peter waited that long?
Yeah, somewhat,
That's what I figured it was, but
yep.
We've identified conflict that I'll abstain on for claim 74660 and 879.
What was that, what was the first one?
74660.
That must be 164, and then 879.
Make a motion to pay that claim.
Support that?
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All those abstained?
Abstain.
Motion carries.
I'll make a motion to pay the rest of them.
Except
Support
for
that.
the ones Keith submitted. I said except for the ones Keith submitted. Boy, those are big ones.
Easy for Ed to sign too.
It's,
Rather than days on
We got a motion and a second, all right?
I made the motion.
Yeah.
Second, yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
For the other business with Sandy, I made an appointment with Joe, I think it is, the administrator at the hospital. And I'm gonna sit and visit about what we can do and how we can do it. Because I want to see them have a little skin in the game, so.
Mentioning those TIF reports I had, talked to Keith about consideration of potentially using TIF areas to support roads or bridges, or I think Lyon County has taken that approach, but with some of those projects being completed, maybe it would be worth considering amending it to use that process as possible. But
Sure be worth looking
where
at.
that'll go.
Sure be worth looking at.
And my thought was, as they roll off the current schedule and get used in a different way, you're not seeing movement
Yeah.
on levy rates in other areas, so that's why now. And it excites the auditor's office to hear those ideas.
But it's gonna be too late for 25, 26 collection.
No, the ones that would be kind
26,
of finishing
27.
up what we just certified and then potentially for the next.
Yeah, because co-op and Sennings has done this fiscal year.
Secondary roads got paid back all their money now.
Yep, they will be this year. It's the last amount, yep. And so will the city of Sibley. So that one's done except for the rebate's over with too, so. That one's done.
Is that where that's gonna stay, Rochelle?
What? Yep. It is. I think downstairs they're probably gonna have to get cages or something, the ones that are in the public view, so that no one touches them or messes with them or,
There's room to put a,
Well, you can put a wall or
Yeah.
case it in or something.
yeah. Or a cage, someone suggested a cage like we have behind,
Just
by
gotta
the
get
rollers.
work on it.
Yeah. By the clerk's office and then down there, we probably should have something so that,
And then the other one's going in your computer room.
yep. I haven't looked upstairs where all those are at. I haven't looked up there, I guess, but they're on the roof though, aren't they? I think they're on the roof.
The AC
think
units will
they
be
are,
on
aren't
the
they?
roof.
I think so. 'Cause they were working on, I think they're on the roof.
I thought I heard once they were saying that they want to see about keeping it inside. I'm not sure where those are going.
AC units, I think, were going on the roof.
Maybe that was it. And I would also like to see us with the open records requests and stuff we've had, I'd like to see us get outside representation to represent us.
Add that to the next agenda.
On the 3rd. Have that what time then, at 10 o'clock then, or after the drainage?
After.
Yeah.
Yes, do like 10 o'clock or so. Okay.
Because I want to see the county get represented. They sure don't know the laws.
Anything else?
I'd make a motion on that last nice agenda on there, or the deal on the agenda, to adjourn.
Second? Anybody? All those in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Meeting adjourned. That's what happens when they leave those recorders sitting there, things get messy.
We get it all over the.
That's right, we got paper towels, we'll get it all figured out.
Teacher to stay for draining stuff.
Yeah,
Give me that roll.
I can, I guess.